Good day everyone! Welcome sa ating panibagong video. And today, we will have a short review about identifying polynomial expression. Now, there are given here, ito yung mga example, and identify natin kung itong mga naibigay is a polynomial or not. Determine whether each of the following is a polynomial expression or not. So we are going to give our reasons. Okay, number 1, so this is a polynomial. So dito sa pencil. So this is a polynomial. Okay. Number 2, this is not a polynomial. Why? Because the variable, ito yung isa sa mga dapat hindi mangyari sa polynomial expression. Pag yung x nasa loob siya ng radical sign, it is not a polynomial. So not a polynomial kasi yung x nasa loob siya ng radical sign. So number 3 is a polynomial. Number 4, may na-violate siya na condition. Dapat kasi ang polynomial is whole number yung exponent. And this one, yung exponent dito is a fraction. So this is not a polynomial. For number 5, isa sa mga condition din is dapat walang variable sa denominator. So napansin nyo itong mga x na sa denominator. So hindi siya polynomial. So number 6, a constant number is a polynomial. So this is a polynomial. Number 7, di ba sabi ko kanina, dapat yung exponent is a whole number and square root of 3 is not a whole number. So this is not a polynomial. For number 8, this is a polynomial expression. For number 9, isa sa mga condition din, dapat walang negative exponent. So this one, may violation, hindi nasunod yung condition, so this is not a polynomial. And the last number, we have this one, this is a polynomial. So this activity is related to our new topic because we're going to discuss polynomial function. So what is a polynomial function? A polynomial function is a function of the form. So this is the form. And a sub n is not equal to 0, where ito yung mga parts ng ating polynomial function, where n is a non-negative integer. Yung n natin ito should be a non-negative integer. A sub 0, A sub 1, A sub n are real numbers called the coefficients. So these are the coefficients. Yung A sub 0, ito A sub 0, A sub 1, and so on, A sub n are real numbers called the coefficients. A sub n, x to the n power, this one is the leading term. So ito yung mga parts, is the leading term. A sub n is the leading coefficient. And a sub 0 is the constant term. When we say constant term, it don't have a variable. It does not have a variable. So the terms of a polynomial may be written in any order. However, if they are written in decreasing powers of x, we say the polynomial function is in standard form. So for our convenience, kadalasan talaga sinusulat yung polynomial function, polynomial expression in descending order of decreasing powers of x. Yung power natin is papaliit. So from highest to lowest. Other than p of x, so ang function, ma-recognize nyo siya kung meron tayo makitang p of x. Actually, we can use any letters in the alphabet. Any letter pwede nyo gamitin doon. So pwede siyang a of x. So kadalasan ang ginagamit is f of x. So other than p of x, the polynomial function may also be noted by f of x. Sometimes, a polynomial function is represented by a set of P of order pairs x and y. Thus, a polynomial function can be written in different ways, like the following. So, pwede rin siyang f of x. You can name function of x, or we can simply name f of x as y. Because in dealing with polynomial function, we're going to deal with the ordered pairs, x and y. And remember that in polynomial function, we're going to deal with the graph. So in dealing with graph, sa Cartesian plane, so kailangan natin yung x and y coordinate. So remember niyo yung Cartesian plane, yung ganito. So yung x-axis natin is the horizontal line. Ito yung x natin. And ito yung ating y. So in this lesson, we're going to deal with the basic graph, the possible graph of a given polynomial function. So mag-graph tayo ngayon, yung possible graph lang. Hindi natin i-graph ng exact, yung may mga values. So we will have a possible graph, an illustration of a possible graph. So polynomials may also be written in factored form and as a product of irreducible factors. That is, a factor that can no longer be factored using coefficients that are real numbers. Here are examples. Yan. So yung lessons natin, no, nung una, hanapin natin yung real roots, tapos yung real roots will serve as the values of x, and pwede natin convert siya as a factor of a given polynomial expression. Now, so we will move sa ito. So we will identify the polynomial function in standard form. So when we say standard form, rearrange lang natin ito siya in descending powers. So mauna itong 2x. So the polynomial function in standard form here is f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 11x plus 2. So yan, arrange natin. So the degree of the polynomial is 2, yung highest exponent. 2. The leading coefficient is 2 and the constant term is 2. So ganun lang. The same also with the rest of the example. Ito siya, paano siya gawin? Kailangan nyo muna expand, di ba? Expanding nyo ito. Expand kasi na-factored form na siya. So, kailangan nyo siya expand. Just like what we did in our previous lesson. Okay, another important thing you have to know about polynomial function is what we call the intercepts. Because we are dealing with the graph, so kailangan natin malaman yung intercepts. So ano yung intercepts? These are the values of x wherein the graph passes through that axis. Kumbaga, dyan tatawid. Dyan na point tatawid yung ating graph. When we say x-intercept, take for instance, ito yung ating x and y axis. When we say x-intercepts, ito yung point kung saan dadaan yung graph. It crosses the x-axis. Halimbawa, ang x-intercepts of a graph natin is nasa negative 2. So, halimbawa, negative 2 dito. So, dadaan dito yung graph. So, something, halimbawa, ito. So, dumaan dyan ang graph. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng x-intercepts. So, these are the values, the x-intercepts of a graph. These are the values when y is equal to 0. Thus, the points where the graph intersects the x-axis can be determined. So, in other words, yung previous lesson natin, the x-intercepts are also the real roots. Yun yung value ng ating real roots. Kasi real roots, the equation there is equal to 0. Diba? So, yung y natin doon is equal to 0. We set y equal to 0. So, we will understand that one by simply having this example. Find the intercepts of y is equal to x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. So, the solution. Since we're looking for the x-intercepts, we're going to set y is equal to 0. So, itong y dito, magiging 0. So, magiging ganito na siya. As you can see at the end here, ginawa na niyang 0 yung ating y. And, na-factored. Ang pag-factor dito is, yung previous lesson natin, you can use synthetic division, diba? You can use the rational root theorem to know the real roots, and after identifying the real roots, ma-identify na ninyo yung kaniyang factored form. So, ito na yung factored form niya, and we have the values of x. We have x is equal to negative 1, x is equal to 2, and x is equal to 3. So, thus, the x-intercepts are negative 1, 2, and 3. This means the graph will pass through. So, dadaan yung graph natin sa negative 1, 0, 2, 0, and 3, 0. Tanong, sir, bakit may 0? So, if we're going to convert the x-intercepts into point, x and y, so, since yung value ng ating y kanina, di ba, sinet natin yung y natin equals to 0. Tapos, yung x natin are the following. Value ng x natin, meron tayong negative 1, meron tayong 2, and meron tayong x is equal to 3. Now, in point naman, di ba, kailangan natin ng x and y sa point. So, ibig sabihin, itong first pair, negative 1, 0. Second pair is 2, 0. 3, 0. So, if we're going to convert the x-intercepts, itong negative 1, 2, 3 into point, iset lang ninyo yung y into 0. Another intercept is what we call the Y-intercept. Sir, paano yung Y-intercept? Kabaliktaran naman, sa Y-intercept, we're going to set naman yung x to 0. Kanina, ang ginawa natin yung y, yung ating naging 0, diba? So, ngayon naman, iset naman natin yung x natin is equal to 0. So, ano yung y-intercept sa graph? Ito yung value ng y kung saan dadaan yung graph, tatawid yung graph. So, ang ginawa dito, ito yung example. So, lahat ng x, kasi dapat yung x natin, iset natin siya sa 0, yung y-intercept. So, ito na siya. Pinalitan lahat ng 0. So, our y-intercept is 6. So, meron ba itong graph? Wala siyang graph. So, if we're going to graph, magiging ganito yung graph natin. Negative, ano ba yung pinakamaliit na natin, na point? Negative 1. So, negative 1 dito, palagay natin na nandito yung 2, palagay natin dito yung 3. Tapos, ang y-intercept natin is 6, dito 6. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga dadaanan ng graph. So, mamaya may mga shortcut pala sa isang video natin, i-discuss natin kung paano malaman kung saan dadaan yung graph, saan ba siya magagaling, sa bababa, sa taas, and so on and so forth. So, sa isang video. Pero in this case, ang graph natin is dadaan siya sa -1, tapos sa Y-intercept, which is 6, tapos dadaan siya sa 2, and dadaan siya sa 3. So, ganyan yung ating graph. Now, in polynomial function pala, the graph of polynomial function, meron siya mga curve. During your grade 9, you discuss about the graph of quadratic function. So, the graph of quadratic function is para siyang U, di ba? Para siyang U or inverted U. Yun yung graph ng ating quadratic function. Now, in polynomial function naman, iba-iba. Pwede siyang letter N, inverted letter N, para siyang ahas, kasi curvy kasi ito siya. We will talk about the curves sa graph ng polynomial function. May mga curve. So, yan yung possible graph ng ating example. So, i-review natin when we say X-intercept. When we say X-intercept, we're going to set Y equal to 0. Pag Y-intercept naman, we will set X equal to 0. Yan lang yung tandaan nyo. Kung X-intercept ang hinahanap, iset lang ninyo yung given na yung Y equal dapat siya 0. Pag Y-intercept naman, yung X natin equal to 0. So, meron tayong another examples. Here, ito. So, ganun din ang ginawa. Pag hinahanap yung X-intercept, yung Y, sinet lang niya sa 0. Yan. Sige. Let's move sa table of signs. Yan. Discuss lang natin yun sa isang video. Okay, let's have the table of signs. Ito. The table of signs. So in this table of signs, we will deal with signs like this one. So the example here, okay, the roots of the polynomial function y is equal to x plus 4, x plus 2, x minus 1, x minus 3 are negative 4, negative 2, 1, and 3. These are the only values of x where the graph will cross the x-axis. Kaya ito sila are the x-intercepts. These roots partition the number line into intervals. Test values are then chosen from within each interval. So, tingnan natin using the table of signs. The table of signs in the rough sketch of the graph of this function can be now constructed as shown below. So, ito yung given. Ito yung given. So, ito yung kanyang table of signs. So, kanina, na-enumerate lahat ng ating roots. Sana yung mga roots natin. The roots are negative 4, negative 2, 1, and 3. Now, to know the intervals, we have first to have the number line. Kailangan natin ng number line para ma-visualize natin yung intervals. So, nauna yung negative 4. Yung pinakamaliit na numbers is negative 4, followed by negative 2, followed by 1, tapos ito yung 3 natin. So, ito yung number line natin. So, kailangan muna natin i-plot siya sa number line para ma-identify natin yung intervals, yung mga values in between sa mga numbers na yan. So, the first one, so these are the intervals. Nabigay na dito ng intervals. Pero, paano to siya naging ganito, sir? So, the first. Ang first natin, ang interval is, dapat mag-start tayo sa left. So, leftmost going to the rightmost. So, dito tayo. So, ito yung first interval natin. Ito yung mga values ng ating interval. These are the values of x. Yung dyan na mga interval. So, yung values dyan, ibig sabihin dyan, from the leftmost, kasi infinity may ito siya, so ibig sabihin, the values of our x here are less than negative 4. So, kaya meron siyang x is less than negative 4 dito. Yan. Yan siyang equivalent niya. X is less than negative 4. So, pwede siyang negative 5, negative 10, negative 1 million, negative 2 million, and so on and so forth. So, walang infinite yung values ng x natin. So, nirepresent na lang siya as x is less than negative 4. But, in this case, negative 4 is not included in the interval. That's why, less than lang siya. Pero kung may equal dito na sign, ibig sabihin kasali, diba? Ganun yung pag-represent ng mga symbol na ganito. Okay, next one. We have the second interval, itong between negative 4 and 2. Ito na interval. So, ang pag-present dyan, ito yung presentation niya. So, x is between negative 4 and negative 2. So, sa gitna siya ng negative 4 and negative 2. Or x is greater than negative 4 but less than negative 2. So, ganun siya basahin. Or pwede rin x is between negative 4 and negative 2. The third interval we have is the value of x between negative 2 and 1. So, x is between negative 2 and 1. The third interval, or the fourth rather, is x is between 1 and 3. And the last interval is yung values ng x natin is greater than 3. So, the values of x is greater than 3. So, hanggang positive infinity ba siya pwede. So, pwede siyang 1 million, and 2 million, and so on. So, wala siyang katapusan. So, i-denote na lang siya as x is greater than 3. So, kaya siya tinawag na table of signs kasi we will deal with this one. Mapansin nyo, meron tayong mga signs. So, sa isang video, magkakaroon tayo ng maraming examples, and we will have answers like this one. Ilalagay natin yung signs sa table. Halimbawa, ito. Test value. So, sa test value, ito yung mga values na napapaloob doon sa ating intervals. So, kailangan natin ilagay each factor sa ating polynomial function. So, first factor is x plus 4. Ito siya. Second factor is x plus 2, x minus 1, and x minus 3. Now, identify muna natin yung mga values na pwede nating i-test. Halimbawa, dito. X is less than negative 4. Ang example dito is negative 5. Negative 5 is less than negative 4, diba? Actually, you can have another number. You can have negative 6, negative 4.5, pwedeng ganon. So, it is convenient na medyo malapit lang yung numbers doon para medyo maliit lang yung numbers na kailangan natin i-compute. Or as much as possible, mas maganda kung nasa whole number lang siya compare sa fraction, diba? Okay, this one. Numbers, values of x na sa gitna ng negative 4 and negative 2. So, negative 3 is in between of negative 4 and negative 2. Actually, pwede rin siyang negative 2.5, negative 3.5. Basta hindi lang siya maglampas ng negative 4 and negative 2. So, for our convenience, ito na lang, negative 3. So, numbers between negative 2 and 1, nilagay dito 0. Numbers between 1 and 3, 2 ang nilagay dito. So, numbers between x and 3, ang nilagay dito 4. So, pwede 5, pwede 6, pero mas maganda 4 na lang para medyo maliit lang yung numbers na kailangan natin i-test. Now, we will test the sign. Identify na natin yung mga values na kailangan nating i-test. Now, if we're going to substitute each value dito sa ating factored mga factors ng ating polynomial function, tingnan natin kung ano yung magiging sign ng number. Sige. When x is equal to negative 5, tingnan natin. When x is equal to negative 5, i-substitute natin siya dito. So, negative 5 itong x, di ba? Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. So, since the sign of negative 1 is negative, ang nilagay dito is negative. Okay? Next one. Negative 5. Sige, unahin na lang natin itong negative 5 lahat. So, negative 5, ito naman tayo next factor. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 3. So, the sign here is negative. Next one, negative 5 minus 1 is negative. Negative 6. So, the sign is negative. So, negative 5 minus 3, the sign is negative. Now, sir, do we have to substitute negative 5 dito sa lahat? Actually, no need na. Kasi since alam naman ninyo yung sign ng each factor dito, so pwede nang itong mga sign dito is i-multiply na lang natin para makuha natin yung sign ng ating polynomial function. So, para makuha natin ng sign, i-multiply na lang natin itong mga sign. So, negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative, negative. And negative times negative, positive. So, that's why positive yung dito. Para hindi na kayo mag-substitute each x dito para makuha lang yung sign, itong sign na lang ang gagamitin natin. So, the same also with the second interval natin dito. Yung test value natin dito is negative 3. So, negative 3 plus 4 is 1. So, the sign is positive. Negative 3 plus 2, negative 1. So, negative. Negative 3 minus negative 1. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative numbers also. So, the sign, the overall sign here is positive times negative, negative times negative, positive times negative, negative. And that goes with the other intervals. Dito, ganun din. So, isa-substitute lang man dito. I-test lang man din yan siya. Same also with the fourth one and the fifth one. Now, in the position of the curve relative to the x-axis, so i-describe lang natin yung position ng ating curve. When we say curve, kung saan tawag dito, kung saan magto-turn yung ating graph. So, the first position here is above the x-axis. So, below, above, below, and above. Kumbaga, ang ating graph, if we're going to graph this one, the possible graph of this one is first curve natin is above, diba? So, dito siya magka-curve, first, above, tapos, take for instance, dito na lang natin i-graph. Dito na lang. Ito yung ating x-axis, diba? So, the first one is, anong sinabi niya? Dadaan siya sa negative 4, diba? So, the position of the curve relative to the x-axis is above, negative 4 dito, tapos below, tapos dadaan siya sa negative 2, tapos dadaan siya sa 1, tapos dadaan siya sa 3. So, parang ganyan yung ating graph. So, the graph is para siyang W, yung graph natin. So, as you can see, meron siyang, ito yung mga intercept natin kung saan nag-cross yung ating graph sa x-axis. So, negative 4, negative 2, this is 1, and 3. So, we can use the information from the table of signs to construct a possible graph. So, sabing possible graph, ano lang siya, is a picture. Parang kahit hindi siya perfect, pero alam natin yung itsura ng ating graph. At this level, though we cannot determine the turning points of the graph, we can only be certain that the graph is correct with respect to intervals where the graph is above, below, or on the x-axis. So, ganito yung may graph niya. Yan. So, above the x-axis, tapos ito, nag-turn naman siya to below, tapos above, below, and above. So, yun yung description natin dito. So, kung wala tayong graphing calculator, we can have the picture, the possible graph of our polynomial function by simply having this table of signs. Yan. So, ito yung possible na itsura ng ating graph. Tapos, yung Y-intercept natin is nasa 25. 24 yung Y-intercept natin. So, solve na natin yung Y-intercept. The Y-intercept is, ano nga yung condition? We're going to set x equal to 0. Lahat ng x dito gawin natin 0. So, magiging 0 plus 4 times yan. Times 0 plus 2 times 0 minus 1 times 0 minus 3. 0 plus 4 is 4, 0 plus 2 is 2, 0 minus 1 is negative 1, and 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So, i-multiply na lang natin 4 times 2 times negative 1 times negative 3. So, 4 times 2 is 8 times negative 1, negative 8 times negative 3, 24. So, the Y-intercept is ito. 0, 24. Since yung y natin is 0, we set x is equal to 0. So, the point is 0, 24. So, yan na yung graph natin. So, in this lesson, we don't need a perfect graph. Ang kailangan lang natin ipakita is yung possible graph. Kasi it's very difficult naman to show the perfect graph kasi you have to show the curve lines and everything para maging perfect yung graph natin. Siyempre, kailangan nyo ng graphing paper. You need the Cartesian plane, and dapat yung grid doon is perfect square para mas maganda yung graph natin. Pero in our lesson, in this lesson, we only need the possible graph lang naman. So, yan yung possible graph. So, meron pa dito description. The arrowheads at both ends of the graph signify that the graph indefinitely goes upward. So, ibig sabihin nitong arrow to, yung graph natin, indefinite papunta sa taas. Okay, so, yan lang yung madidiscuss muna natin for this video because sa panibagong video natin, i-discuss natin mga examples. We are going to find, ito yung mga gagawin natin sa panibagong video natin. Yan, another examples yan. We're going to, gusto nyo malaman, here are another examples. Sketch the graph of f of x is equal to negative x plus 3 times 3x minus 4. Ito yung roots niya. Yan yung kanyang graph. Yan. Kung gusto nyo ganun din yung ginawa. So, ito yung gagawin natin sa panibagong video. So, kailangan natin identify yung x-intercepts Para-include na lang natin yung Y-intercept dito. Y-intercept. Tapos, the intervals obtained when the x-intercepts are used to partition the number line. So, yung ginawa natin, nagkaroon tayo ng number line, tapos in-identify natin yung intervals. Tapos, table of signs, and the last one is we're going to have the possible sketch of the graph. So, sa panibagong video ito siya. So, yun lang. Thank you. Thank you and have a good day, everyone. Thank you.